violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, I can still get shot by the police, but I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, cyberspace? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Police want help finding a man accused of taking a truck with a baby inside. About 2 weeks ago, according to the NOPD, someone stole a Dodge Charger on Tulane Avenue. They drove the Charger to Lakeview, where they got out and stole the truck.
So guys, we covered this story out here in the suburbs of New Orleans. These super gremlins are on demon time, and they're jacking trucks with little babies inside. Now, thankfully, the child was unharmed, and they were able to identify the individual who did this heinous crime. You got to be careful. You don't want to leave your children out of your sight, for one. But this shouldn't be an issue that you should be worrying about, if I might add. Okay? But it's a reality, and this is the new normal in New Orleans.
It had been briefly left unattended with the baby inside. The truck was found shortly after, and the suspect had escaped. Thankfully, the baby wasn't hurt. A few hours ago, police announced a Crime Stoppers tip helped detectives identify a suspect. This is 25-year-old Deontay Allen. If you know where he is, the NOPD wants you to call Crime Stoppers.
At 4, the NOPD arrests a man accused of killing a gas station worker.
That shooting happened this morning on St. Claude Avenue. Andres Fuentes is live with more. Andres.
Right. NOPD tells me that this homicide happened at this gas station behind me. Actually,
what did I tell you guys about these gas stations? Very dangerous in the community. Gas stations are a main location where, you know, the effery starts to occur. You know, people going in maybe to buy a drink, cop some cigs, and arguments start to break out. There are a lot of transients who hang out around gas stations doing, you know, menial tasks, maybe for an employee who works there. And oftentimes they can get unruly and in disagreements, which inevitably leads to violence in the community. So it seems.
Inside of the gas station around 7:30 this morning in the Holy Cross neighborhood, that's when an employee got into an argument with a 34-year-old James Spriggins. NOPD officers say that the employee was shot multiple times and eventually died here at the gas station. And officers say that thanks to help from witnesses and the community, Spriggins was quickly identified and a warrant was issued for his arrest.
This is a busy gas station. There were vendors there delivering items to the store, people getting gas, you know, customers. And we got, like I said, we got quick calls about the description of the perpetrator. In the 5th District, based on their fast response time, we're able to apprehend them. So couldn't have done it without the help of the citizens, couldn't have done it without the work of the 5th District police officers.
Now, the NOPD says that Spriggins will be facing second-degree murder, and police have not identified the gas station employee who was shot and killed here this morning. But once we have more information about that, we'll be sharing that with you both on air and online. But for now, reporting live here in St. Claude, Andres Fuentes, Fox 8, Local First.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Jenquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
Investigation into a former NOPD captain who was also the subject of a series of Fox 8 investigations.
In our newest attention to the details investigation, sources tell Fox 8 the FBI is looking into Sabrina Richardson amid questions we raised about possible payroll fraud.
Sources tell Fox 8 News former NOPD captain Sabrina Richardson is now one of 12 officers on.
Oh man, NOPD captain, sister, and now she's under federal investigation. Especially in New Orleans, it just seems like these sisters aren't really getting it right when it comes to leadership positions. Not really sure what it is, but it just appears that they are not best suited for the jobs that they hold. Not all, but just in the major positions like Mayor Latoya Cantrell and others. Okay, like this officer here. You know, this might be some of the reason as to why it's so violent in New Orleans.
Under federal investigation.
She was a major offender. This is not a new recruit that just came onto the force. This is a captain.
The results of our Fox 8 investigation mirrors what the NOPD determined in its own review of Richardson. The now former NOPD captain possibly committed payroll fraud. But when it came time for sanctions, the NOPD gave her what Tulane law professor Joel Friedman called a slap on the wrist, demoting her in rank from captain to lieutenant.
Again, this is all reflective, as far as I'm concerned, of their lack of concern over this major issue.
Right. Why are they rewarding bad behavior by promoting this sister who committed fraud, payroll fraud at that, defrauding the citizens of New Orleans?
And that ultimately falls on the superintendent of police.
After that criticism, the NOPD later announced Richardson would also be suspended without pay for 120 days. Here's what might be getting the attention of the FBI. After examining 4 years of Richardson's payroll and off-duty detail records, we found 26 instances of Richardson double-dipping, working her NOPD shift and an off-duty detail shift at the same time, basically claiming to be in 2 places at once.
Wow. So that's why the response times are increasing, because some of these individuals who are supposed to be doing their job is clocking in like they're at 2 places at one time. And this is it's a safety hazard, because you might think that you have an officer in a certain location and things might pop off in that location and nobody's actually there to respond to an incident. So this is very dangerous, what this sister here is doing. And you know, it just shows the lack of character of some of these individuals.
One example, March 20th, 2019, from 3 to 7 p.m. She worked an off-duty detail shift at Restaurant Depot, but at the same time, NOPD records show her on the clock for a duty shift. NOPD watchdog Skip Gallagher has also looked into NOPD timesheets and said Richardson's time doesn't add up.
This double dipping issue, I just don't get. You have a detail and you're working duty at the same time. This doesn't make sense. And I think in officers who work a normal 40-hour week, this just doesn't happen.
We then requested license plate reading cameras. The city has more than 100 across the city. We were only able to get 6 months worth. We found 8 instances where Richardson claimed to work an off-duty detail, but the cameras caught her police unit miles away from those assignments.
Wow.
Like November 27th of last year, leading up to the Bayou Classic. Richardson worked a detail at Champion Square from 11 a.m. till 4 p.m. But at 1:07, a license plate reading camera captured this picture of her police unit on the West Bank.
Dang, I mean, Shorty is super greedy. These super greedy sister gremlins are on demon time.
Across the river, 5 miles away from Champion Square. About an hour later, another camera caught her police unit on Chef Highway in New Orleans East, 6.5 miles away from Champion Square. Before leading the 3rd District, Richardson worked for the NOPD's Public Integrity Bureau, the branch of the NOPD that investigates officer misconduct. So basically, while Richardson was investigating other officers for misconduct, she broke rules and possibly laws herself.
But surely captains and above have to adhere to the highest standards. That's a very important entity for public confidence and for the morale inside. People need to know that the people who are judging other cops are beyond reproach.
Richardson is not the only officer we found with questionable timesheets. Our story showed a handful of NOPD officers abusing the detail system. We found several more examples of officers double dipping, doing detail and duty work at the same time. We also uncovered high-ranking officers breaking NOPD policy and examples of an officer claiming to do detail work while racing a car or walking the dog. In May, the department confirmed 11 officers are under criminal investigation by the FBI.
Jeez.
This means now 12 NOPD officers are under investigation.
I mean, out of those 12 officers, how many of them do you guys think are from the community? I hope that we ain't the bulk of this investigation, but you know, if you look at the leadership, it's not looking good.
We know of 5 current or former officers who received target letters from the feds. That includes Todd Morrell, his brother Nicholas, and 3 more officers, Michael Stalbert, Renee Benjamin, and Brian Sullivan.
Okay. I mean, just judging by the names, it looks like we got some other company here. So, hey, you know, everybody's just out here skimming time.
All our sources do not believe that Richardson has gotten a target letter. The FBI is now investigating her behavior and paying close attention to the details.
After our investigation started, the NOPD said it identified and fixed a loophole in the system that allowed officers to sign up for detail work while already scheduled for a duty shift. You can see our prior attention to the details investigations on fox8live.com and our news app.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Guess what? I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.